Greetings, I'm Devan and welcome back to Let's Play The Sims 1, or rather a replay of Let's Play The Sims 1. This is the second episode. In the last episode we went through the tutorial and met the newbie family. And then I laid out kind of sort of where I'm going with this series. So in this episode, what we're going to do is we are going to go and see the Goths at 5 Sim Lane. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we got. This is the Sims Goths. Go, that's their house. It's actually a 2-story house. She's doing quite well, and there are 3 family members. We have Mortimer, who has a job as a test subject. While earning a science degree, you're picking up mediocre salary as a human guinea pig at a local kinetics lab. It's a way to introduce yourself to the scientific community, but it's tough to be charming after several hours in a wind tunnel. We have a Bella Goth, and we have Cassandra Goth, who's at school with grade B. Okay, so there's the challenge. They'll get on well with each other. They're relatively think so, and this is a day in their life, pretty much. So, but what about their personalities? Let's have a look. We have personality. We have occasional cleaner, reserved, active, playful, nice. So you can tell that he's slightly more playful, but not exactly brilliant. I mean, luckily, most of these Sims were all shy. Being self-conscious and introspective, I don't have a great need to be social. It's hard for me to meet new people and make friends. Well, technically, it's not hard for her to meet new people. She just doesn't have the drive to, because the way that her personality, the way the personality goes, is that the lower your outgoing score, the higher the outgoing score, the faster your social need decays, and that means you need more and more social interaction. So conversely, by being shy, Cassandra Goth doesn't really have the need to socialise as much with many other people. So she's quite happy being an only child. So let's see what we'll do here. Okay, but that's what we got. So yeah, so let's start things going. Bella and Mortimer in love. Okay. Now this is Cassandra's bedroom. She's up in what's essentially the attic. That's been converted to a bedroom for her use in this house. But that's okay. So Mortimer, we already got a job. The carpool will arrive in about an hour. And the school bus for Cassandra will also arrive in about an hour, which is pretty good.
Huh? Uh-huh.
Now you'll notice a couple of interesting things with this house. Firstly, we have gravestones, which means this house is actually haunted. This is the Goth family lot, but creativity point for Mortimer. But there's no actual way to know that, because other than just being there, you can't actually tell that they're related in any way. There's no that sort of history wasn't being done in The Sims at this point. In fact, it wouldn't be until The Sims 2 that we'd start getting actual aging and genealogy and I mean, why The Sims 1 is iconic on the day-to-day life simulation. It was really The Sims 2 that got the ball rolling with the lifetime simulation aspect. And it wasn't. And in The Sims 3 was iconic for the fact that it could simulate a whole town that was all bustling and going together and moving at the same time, for good and for bad. Unfortunately, EA BNA have sort of dropped the ball with the Sims 4 a bit. So depending on what aspect you liked, you can pretty much see which of the first 3 Sims games people favoured based on what their playstyles were.
Moki Hoki.
I mean, the Sims 1's main issue is that because it was a life simulation and it was very routine day to day, with lots of bits missing, it could take some effort to put in a story, because it's like playing with a doll's house. Essentially, that's what this was called when it was in prototype, Dollhouse Project. Because unless you're willing to put that sort of imagination and creativity in, we have. Okay, so we have Bob and Betty Newbie. Let's greet them. Greet them. Let's greet them. You're not going to get much out of it, and that means basically, yeah, it's okay to sit there, and it can be quite relaxing just to sit there and watch them go day to day. But unless you were actively creating the stories, they just weren't there. Okay. In many ways, it just...
Voila.
I mean, you could say that would be the gameplay side of it. So we can sit here and see how Belagoth gets on with Bob and Betty Newbie, for example. It's not necessarily a good time for her, simply because in terms of social, she doesn't really have any needs or any social interaction or anything like that. So they're not really there. But the interesting thing is that personality-wise, Bob and Betty are pretty much as we left them. But in terms of needs and motives, it's normally random presets, and that would determine what they would do. I think it's, what, 11 o'clock? You know what? Okay, let's make some dinner. Oh, serve some lunch. Let's serve lunch. Serve lunch for everyone. Hopefully, don't set fire to the house. That'd be a dramatic first meeting, wouldn't it? basically the relationship changes between visiting Sims
Ow.
actually saves over save games. So if, say, Bob and Betty have a massive argument and decide to have a falling out, when we go back, they would stop being friends. They wouldn't. Yep, Bella's cooking is a fire hazard. We know, we know. But that's fine. Yeah, generally we will do this because this is a good way to get them all to come and sit down in what's known as group chat. Which is where you can talk and things go up and down as they're doing other stuff. Because what happened with that conversation between Bella and Betty is that Betty opened up with a subject that Bella did not like, so she ended the conversation. After all, she doesn't know these people, they've just turned up and started talking about nonsense. So a group meal and something like this is a good way to break the ice and get a few initial points.
This girl is fresh, and then whoop that's not. And you stop
And the question is, do we want them to be friends? Well, sure, why not? So, let's see how the relationship's going. They only just know each other. You don't get a lot from group chat. But with them having just finished their food, they should be in a more receptive frame of mind. In fact, since Bob's going to grab another plate, I think Bella will go and grab another plate too. As you see, the main reason that I had Bob get the job was so that Bella and Betty would be around to socialise. Of course, I could have had Bob and Bella be around to socialise, but when you're looking at groups and talking, anything could cause them to start having an affair, basically, which is an interesting storyline, I guess, but it's not how I like to play it. That's just my personal preference, really. I know, a bit patriarchal, but it's just easier in that way. Like I said, I don't actually have any intention of playing these. We're just exploring and setting the groundwork right now. So I think what we'll do is let's have a talk with Bob.
This girl is fresh, and then whoop that's not. And you stop on it.
No, apparently, but no, that's not good either. Let's try. No, let's try talking to Betty again. Maybe we can start another conversation and then might have something mutual to discuss. Maybe.
Is
well, she switched it to politics, which is a bit of a thing, but Bella isn't interested in politics, so it can be fun trying to find. Okay. Okay, Mortimer, promoted lab assistant. Fixing rat cages, cleaning delicate lab equipment for minimum wage. Yeah, I know, I swapped them there. How's your mood today? Lot of logic skill building time needed at home to advance, and guess what? You're on the graveyard shift. Work all night, sleep all day. Okay, but you get a bonus. And
Is the that kind of one?
Bella,
Is it-
Cassandra Goff is home from school. So let's see. You need 2 logic points to improve, but mostly. So yeah. Let's. You know what? Let's treat ourselves to a pizza. We don't have a pizza. Can't be bothered to cook. And pizza time is party time. It's expensive. We just had a promotion, though, so it don't really matter, does it? Okay, $40 there'll be in about that. Or 40 simoleons. So this is admittedly a poorly designed house. Simply because of where the bathroom is, and there's literally only one way in, one way out. And it's all too easy for people to get stuck. There's the pizza. Because we buy Freddy the Pizza Dude. Freddy the Pizza Dude.
This girl is Freddy, and then Wobber that's not, and you stop our gun Johanna. Can you love this? It's a couple of Yaku, the family too much.
Dude, like I made it all the way from SimCity to your house in less than an hour. Yo, dude. Okay, so we'll do that, and we will. I think he's going to serve the pizza. Yes. And you can grab a slice because after all you did order it. Pizza! Right. You can't get The Sims 1 anymore, which is a shame. But it's actually a nice little game. I know in the end that you can get them pretty cheap on eBay, I guess, sort of, and you could always. But I would kind of like EA to re-release The Sims, I think, on their digital platform. Maybe optimise it and get rid of some of the kinks or something like that. But even on its own, I mean, look, it still stood up the test of time as a game in its own right. It's 20 years old. So.
Aha!
Okay. Okay, and the creativity. Just for convenience, we'll have walls down because that way you can see what's happening in other rooms too.
What's
Yay! Says painting as completed. The thing is, can't actually do anything with paintings other than sell them. Which is a bit of a shame. But like I said, this was like their first steps. Kind of groundbreaking. See, Bob and Betty going home, they didn't particularly enjoy themselves, pizza or otherwise, because, you know, didn't really engage. They were too busy engaging with each other, and the Goths were too busy engaging in themselves. But they know each other. Or rather, they know Bella. Which is pretty much something. And the key thing to understand is that if you try and call somebody who's at work during certain periods of the day, then calling them during that time, they're not going to be in. So, which is a nod to real life in that regard. Now that makes some interesting conflicts between the various shifts. But it's all part of the fun of the game, really. So that is why we've kept Bella Goth off of work and at home, so that she'll always be available whatever schedule. If we take a day off, then she's going to be around. If we decide to, you know, as long as it's not too late, I mean, before 11 o'clock it's fine. Meanwhile, Mortimer, who's now on the night shift, will also be around pretty much during the day.
Sul.
Probably won't appreciate being woken up, but if we're not playing him, it won't really matter. And until we get those logic points, he's never actually going to get a promotion from the graveyard shift. At 10 o'clock we leave Cassandra, who should probably be in bed by now. he will probably end up going to bed after having his bath.
Lally, Lally.
Oh yes. That, I believe. Yep, we have ghosts. Fortunately, I think the ghost is currently sitting in the middle of that hedge, being annoying. But they can be a nuisance. Nope. You have your own bed up here. So that's what you'll be doing. Thank you. There we go, there's a ghost, see that? Ghost. And they generally make nuisances of themselves. Time speeds up because there's no one actively playable at the moment. But that's good because that allows us to get to Voldemort coming home, which is pretty cool. Now we know that he's knackered. So I think the key thing there is to send him straight to sleep. I mean, these first two episodes are more about showing off the setup than explaining certain things than actually playing the game at the moment. Because we will probably never come back to the Goths at all, ever. In this series anyway. So yeah, let's go back to the neighbourhood. We will save that. That's done. They've got what they've wanted to do. That's both of them done. So, and I'll get it out of the way now because you won't see it any other time. This is the funky credits. Remember some of these names because they come up quite funnily in the descriptions of various objects and stuff. Oh, you know what would be fun? I think EA could make some money basically selling the original soundtrack. But some of these are iconic tunes. There we go. Listening to some smooth jazz. Anyway, this has been Darvane, and this has been a replay of Let's Play The Sims. If you like what you're seeing here, be sure to like, subscribe, share and comment. And until the next time, goodbye.